Hey folks, MasakoX here. As you could probably imagine, a lot of things in Dragon Ball occur depending on the wants and ways of Goku. Goku is the linchpin within the entire story, and what he chooses to do with said story is what we get. So, take the first tournament he ever took part in, for example. In that, he heeded the advice of Chun, Roshi, about the idea that out there will always be a challenge for you, that you should never settle with what you've got and assume you are the best, because that will ultimately lead to your downfall or you plateauing. Well, Goku didn't get that memo here and instead seized the moment to win the 21st Budokai. And what do we get from that? The ultimate jerk. Not a bad guy in the traditional sense, but let's just say that the Dragon Team chose Ten Shinhan to be its leader as its shining beacon of hope instead of Goku, who then went to go and play with the Saiyans when Raditz gave him the first opportunity to do so. But it's okay, since Raditz gets to be part of this story and gets Super Saiyan to boot, so not all bad. In the last part, Vegeta was in a bad state and quite frankly, armless. Sorry, but in any case, the situation wasn't great. Not only was Jiro in charge of proceedings with a relentless 16 by his side, but he had successfully deployed 17 and 18 with much more control over them than in the original story, them still retaining their base personality, but listening to the old robot/droid man more this time. In the end, Trunks managed to get Vegeta out of there to recover, and Goku had taken it upon himself, for the sake of his own ego, to take down 16 personally, and prove that machine could not beat man. He was the legendary man. I mean, Saiyan man. Yet it wasn't all doom and gloom though. The humans managed to get to Jiro, and Trunks did his slashy thing, all of that throwing 17 and 18 off their obedient path, and fortunately nullified the android menace. They agreed to stay away from the Dragon Team, so long as they let them go after Goku. And because of Goku's less glowing place within the group, they sort of just allowed the twins to leave. And speaking of Goku, he had to resort to hiding thanks to him getting tired and 16 not doing so. However, this then played into the palms of a certain Bugman, who set up an unlikely team-up.
Just one little drinky winky for my tummy wummy kind soul.
I know I should stop it, but I just couldn't help myself. So as you could probably imagine, that little collab offer, that was unexpected. As we've conveyed to you, Goku had to resort to a rather unorthodox means of getting back at Android 16, and that was by allying himself with a creature by the name of Cell, who is also technically an android himself, but more biologically derived. Goku wasn't too sure where that placed Cell in his level of resentment, but at least this guy was wanting to help him. Despite this gesture, our Saiyan was not entirely trusting of this creature. I mean, that's quite understandable based on the fact that Cell is literally a stealthy predator bad boy right now, but Goku wasn't questioning its presence either. "What's your plan then, Cell?" he said its name in a rather snarky tone. Cell mock bowed, amping up the freezer within him.
If you can keep running for just a little bit longer, I should be ready soon to make my grand entrance. Trust me.
Goku snarled at the creature. Any person that would tell him to trust them was an automatic red flag in his book.
I don't like this at all, you know. This seems too convenient. Why can't you deal with that thing right now? Or are you hiding something? Is this some kind of trap for you to both attack me at once?
Goku stepped back a little to get some distance between him and the Bugman. But the Bugman shook its head quite easily and sighed.
Oh no, new friend. I understand why you might be wary of me, but I assure you, I just need to make some preparations before I can be fully effective.
Why should I trust you?
It's, complicated. You don't have to trust me, but what else do you have left going for you presently?
Goku didn't like the state of affairs at all, but he could feel that this being was formidable in power. And what did it refer to itself as? An android hunter? Well, that did sound rather compelling to his cause. Well, alright. He will overcome his destiny. He won't die today. even if it did mean relying on some weird insect hybrid in which to do it. Goku would lead the charge, obviously, and thusly, he could claim this as his victory. Yeah, Goku, just keep telling yourself that. When Cell went off to prepare for the battle ahead, Goku managed to slink out of the city and provide some much needed distance between himself and 16. Sure, he knew that the robot would find him again soon enough, but at least now he wasn't directly on his tail for this present time. The Saiyan decided to move to Korin and Yajirobe's place to get some sensu for insurance. On the way there though, he met up with Piccolo, or Kamikolo if you wish to be more accurate right now. And Goku was rather astounded by the power of the fusion. He was so surprised, in fact, he wasn't even mad.
I'll try to take care of those 2 teenagers for you. How are you dealing with the big one?
Said a stoic Piccolo.
I lost him for the time being, but it's only a matter of time before... Listen, I may have recruited an ally.
An ally? Where from?
Piccolo looked suspicious. Goku waved his hand in a general direction.
Claims to be an android hunter or something. I'm gonna need to ask Trunks about that. See if there are any of those in his timeline. And speaking of Trunks, how's the situation with him and Vegeta?
Piccolo looked a little pensive.
It's a good thing Bulma's good with gadgets, because the prince is gonna need some of those if he wants to get back in the ring. Nappa and Raditz, they'll recover.
Goku then asked about the others. Piccolo raised his eyebrow quite quizzically.
I didn't think you cared.
Goku looked away, as if he felt hurt by this remark.
Of course I do.
Piccolo complied, a little taken aback by Goku giving a damn for once, but complied.
They're regrouping. Jiro's down for the count, thankfully, thanks to their quick thinking. Also, I was about to suggest to them the Room of Spirit and Time. Could be handy.
Goku thought about this for a moment and recalled said chamber from his youth.
That's actually a good idea. I could use it too to train so that I'm ready for the big guy next time we meet. But I don't want to lure him close to the lookout though. That could get nasty.
You already are kinda nearby, you know.
Goku brushed that aside.
I know. Alright. Hopefully they know what they're doing. I wish you luck, Piccolo.
Likewise. We need to keep an eye on your android hunter, though.
And so, both of them left to head off for their respective destinations, whilst Trunks and the others were busy, slowly regrouping on the lookout, where Mr. Popo slowly suggested them training in the time chamber for some quick gains, and as well as preparations should the 2 teenage droids just suddenly choose to go back on their word and show up. That is, if they actually look up. That's a bit debatable from History of Trunks, but that's for another time. The first ones to enter would be Nappa and Raditz, as Bulma was still taking care of Vegeta's wounds and figuring out some kind of plan in which to get him literally back on his feet. One thing she knew for sure was that he would not want to be branded as some kind of charity case. He was going to go back in whether she liked it or not. The humans were also in the market to train, though the lack of the Dragon Balls, and of course no instant transmission in this scenario, makes it rather troublesome. And not to mention the growing waiting list meant that even though the room could dramatically cut down training time, it would still take the better part of a week or so to toughen everybody up. And who knows, people might want to go back in for seconds. And who knows what the twins could do in that time. Here's hoping they would do nothing. But the thought about relying on the Namekians crossed their minds, so you never know. Anyway, Piccolo had indeed found the teenage rascals looking through Goku's hermit cave. When he landed, the twins turned around and were, in fact, both pleased and saddened to see one of those goodies bugging them. "Oh, look, sister. This one looks like he wants to play. You sure you want to do that, buddy? We did ask you nicely for you to leave us alone." 17 didn't get a reply back. Or at least, not a verbal one, because Big Green chose to send him flying instead, much to the shock of his sister. 18 had to step in and help, but the fight wasn't as one-sided as she thought it would be. To make matters worse, the Namekian was pushing her around as well. Where did this power come from? "Alright, green guy, that's impressive. Sis, mind if I take this one for the team?" 18 grunted. "Just make it quick." And just like in the original, 17 challenged Piccolo to a duel which both of them enjoyed in a way, given that Piccolo was now much stronger than in the original, him having gotten the fusion boosts sooner. Meanwhile, Goku was aware that 16 was on his tail again, hopefully far enough away from the lookout to not connect himself with Korin. Goku would hate to get them in trouble. At some point, he heard a familiar voice.
All right, I'm ready now. Let's find those brats, and I shall help you with that oath.
But first, they had to lose 16. Goku felt that his new ally was somehow even more powerful than when they first met. But in order to do so, to get rid of 16, he decided to bury the big bot under some rubble from a nearby abandoned building. Come to think of it, actually. It seemed like a lot of the city was abandoned now for some reason. Perhaps people had figured out that a huge android was attacking and so chose to skip town. To his surprise though, his newfound ally realized what he was doing and helped him with his own Kamehameha.
What? How do you know that technique?
Goku said with astonishment and a touch of annoyance and a little bit of fear.
Future stuff. I'll tell you later. Now let's make haste. If I am correct, they'll be with Piccolo.
And so, before 16 could deal with the rubble, they fled at top speed and to witness the climactic duel between 17 and Piccolo, managing to throw 16 off again for the time being. When the pair of them found the teens, Cell looked down, eyes widened.
Oh, how wonderful.
Cell seemed a tad too elated at both of the androids being present, and by using Piccolo as a distraction, Cell quickly did the dirty deed, much to Piccolo and 18's dismay.
Is this your ally, Goku?
Piccolo shouted with horror and confusion, Goku nodding his head.
Well, it seems like he dealt with the problem.
He stopped talking though when he saw 16 had caught up with them. Again. And was rather furious with yet another deception tactic being used upon him. As he was about to attack Goku and Piccolo, the newly transformed Cell appeared in front of them all and punched 16 in the head, causing massive damage in one shot. If machines could be thrown for a loop, 16 would be doing several of those right now. 18 was also in shock, and as such, attempted to attack the monster for what it had done with her brother, but it wasn't exactly effective. To make things worse, it seemed that Cell was about to absorb her as well. 16 yelled at her, but semi-perfect Cell simply turned around and blasted 16's head away, leaving only a smouldering torso behind.
See, Goku? Told you I could deal with that thing. Now help me hunt the last one.
Goku nodded, but Piccolo looked rather worried.
Goku, I'm not sure this is a good idea.
He dealt with them, didn't he? So what's the problem? If he is what it takes to stop those machines, I'll allow it.
And as such, they started chasing after 18. Piccolo was pondering about getting into the chase himself, but he decided to take the wrecked body of 16 and leave it at Bulma's place, much to the horror of everyone involved when he got there.
Why did you bring that thing here?
Dr. Briefs was shocked at first, but then saw that it was of no state to mount an attack. It had been well and truly terminated.
Did you manage to beat this thing? Not exactly. There's a new person involved, and I think this may give you some people some ideas on how to fix Vegeta. I don't think this is over.
Piccolo then went to meet up with Trunks, Krillin and Yamcha, as well as Tenshinhan, who were awaiting Raditz and Nappa outside of the time chamber.
Any idea who this new thing might be?
Trunks shook his head.
I'm afraid not. I don't recall anything resembling your description in my time. Perhaps time has changed enough to factor in some kind of support. He has this weird aura about it. Like I was feeling myself, Frieza, Goku, and a couple of others within. Maybe it can hide its own aura by copying others. Maybe it's some kind of temporal agent?
Piccolo sighed.
Well, if they won't fix your father in time, we're going in next. Understood?
Yeah, sure. Meanwhile, Goku had to admit that this Cell guy was rather impressive and methodical, despite him not knowing much else about him. When things had calmed down a little bit, and whilst they were searching for 18,
can you finally tell me this? How do you know my techniques? And what's with your aura? I've not come across anything like that before.
Now, right now, Cell was in a good mood, and so chose to indulge Goku's curiosity to keep him sweet.
Oh, it's very simple. I was made from you, and Piccolo, and Frieza, and a couple of other willing volunteers.
Goku suddenly stopped. That didn't sound good.
Made? By whom?
You've met my father recently.
Goku shook his fist.
Jiro.
That's right! But that doesn't mean we can't be friends when all of this is over.
You tricked me!
Like taking candy from a baby.
Goku was furious at having been played like that and went in for a punch, but Semi-Perfect Cell took his hand with minimal effort.
Really? Is that the best you could muster, Goku? Come now. I know exactly how much you hate losing, but this feeble display? Why, this is just embarrassing. But don't worry. I'll give you a chance to get stronger. I want to have some fun too.
Goku tried again with every fiber of his being to fight back, but this monstrosity was simply just too much. Cell used this opportunity to beat Goku into a pulp, but left him with a slither of energy, enough so that means he could escape.
I hope you still have one of those beans left on you, for your own sake. But fear not. Do some training, or whatever you people like to do. I shall hunt my prize, and then we're gonna have a real fight, okay? And one more thing.
He grabbed Goku by the neck with his tail.
Just like you, I really don't like losing, and I am not going to lose.
With that, Cell dropped Goku back on the ground and flew away. On the floor, Goku was stewing, as well as being in considerable pain. Cheetah. Dirty cheetah! He must have had elements of Tenshin on him, surely! But Goku's fury then started to internalize. The longer he was left laying there, the more he realized that he had been played. It was pointless to blame anyone else at this time. And as he was left there festering on the ground, Cell was on the run. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. If you want to see a timeline when Cell is a little more benevolent, check out this timeline here, where he becomes good and has a family. It's quite wholesome, actually. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!